Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome to my channel. As you can probably guess from the title and the thumb and everything, you know what this is, and I'm gonna try to speed round this list of horror recommendations currently streaming on Netflix for you, but there will be some cheating because I have to let you know that the Final Destination movies are on there, but I'm not including them on my list because they're leaving at the end of May, so if you want to get these in, maybe watch them ASAP. They don't have the fifth one on there, but they do have the fourth, which we all know is the best Final Destination film. Kicking off the list at number 13 is Terra Fire, a throwback slasher that introduced many horror fans to Art the Clown, a creepy killer that I think should be as iconic as Pennywise. In this movie, Art the Clown stalks two women on Halloween night in the seedy streets of LA, and this movie is very sleazy and very silly, but if you are just looking for a movie with a high body count that's a total gore fest, Terra Fire is it. Number 12 is Here Alone, an apocalyptic thriller that follows one woman who has survived a zombie uprising and she's gotten pretty used to living on her own. So things get truly terrifying when she discovers that she isn't the only survivor nearby. Now either you are not in the mood for these types of movies at all, or you are all in on it like I am. So if this sounds appealing to you, I have to say I think this is one of those underseen hidden gems hiding there on Netflix. Number 11 is Under the Shadow, a supernatural thriller set in Iran in the 1980s where a mother is taking care of her daughter in their apartment while her doctor husband is off working within the Iran-Iraq war, and, well, the mother and daughter, they're haunted by a jinn. And this is a really interesting, creepy little movie. I am not the biggest fan of supernatural horror, but this is a very well-made movie, and I would say that it's actually more on the spooky side. Like, it's kind of kid-friendly. I mean, there's some very serious thematic elements, but it has this poltergeist vibe to it, and I like that. Plus, this movie won a damn BAFTA, so you know it's legit. Number 10 is Holidays, an anthology horror that features several segments directed by notable directors such as Kevin Smith, and each segment takes a scary spin on holidays from St. Patrick's Day to Easter, and of course Halloween. Now, what horror fan doesn't like a scary holiday movie? I personally love them all. I think this is a fun anthology film, but like most anthologies, not every part of it is perfect, but I would say that this one is mostly good. Number 9 is Creep, a found footage slow burn that follows a videographer who takes a job recording a man who at first appears to be just plain socially awkward, but as this movie progresses, we learn that our protagonist has plenty to worry about with this weirdo. And cheat time, Creep 2, the sequel, is also on Netflix right now, and it's one of those rare sequels that I would say is as good, if not better, than the original. Number 8 is Headcount, a teen scream urban legend thriller that follows a group of friends who spend the weekend in the desert when a supernatural entity begins stalking them. I don't want to give anything away with this one, but if you're looking for something that will keep you guessing throughout, then I definitely suggest Headcount. Number 7 is Green Room, a brutally violent A24 film from Jeremy Saulnier that features Anton Yelchin in one of his final performances. In this movie, a punk rock band plays a show at a skinhead bar, but after witnessing a murder, they end up in a fight for survival against the neo-Nazis. This movie is a tad too vicious and mean-spirited to be a personal favorite of mine, but if you like gory horror, this movie has plenty of gruesome sequences. Number 6 is Tremors, a comedic creature feature set in the tiniest little desert town where residents including Kevin Bacon are attacked by underground monsters that are picking them off one by one. This movie is equal parts action-packed and hilarious. I think it is a whole ton of fun, and I think that it's one that a lot of people just forget to talk about when they're talking about creature features, so watch it. It is so much fun. Last horror comedy on the list, I promise. At number 5, I have Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. This flips the script on the typical slasher by having two rednecks spend a weekend in the wilderness until they're terrorized by a group of college students. This movie is funny and gory. If you're a fan of movies like Scream or The Cabin in the Woods that take the horror tropes and then spin them around into something hilarious that works for everyone, you definitely should give this a shot. Number 4 is The Black Coat's Daughter, a slow burn paranormal horror that follows two young women trapped on a boarding school campus over winter break when things get creepy. I don't want to get into it. This is a movie that you just have to experience for yourself. All I'm going to say is that it isn't entirely told in chronological order, so wait until the end. Trust me, it gets brutal. Number 3 is The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and in this supernatural horror film, a father and son team of coroners, played by Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch, are performing an autopsy on an unnamed woman in order to try and figure out what the cause of death was. But as they peel back the layers of this woman's body, they uncover a mystery that I find oddly rewatchable. This movie completely turns into something different, so I don't want to give anything away. This movie is very interesting, pretty creepy. If you have not watched it, now's the time. Number 2 is The Witch. Love it or hate it, this atmospheric tale of terror follows a family in the 1600s who are banished from their village and have to find a way to survive out in the wilderness. But things go from bad to worse when a witch in the woods starts terrorizing them and uses her black magic to pit the members of this family against one another, which leads to a violent downturn. I know a lot of people do not care for this movie entirely, so because no one makes it to this part of the video, I'm gonna get into it. I have to say, when I first saw this movie, I went and saw it with friends opening night, and I was absolutely perplexed by it. It's a very simple movie, but it wasn't what I was expecting, or more importantly, what I wanted it to be, I have to admit to myself. And I went and saw it 3 times within the first 2 weeks that it was in theaters, and I have to say, it's one that I think is perfect for what it's trying to do, but it is not the most entertaining movie. One of the titles is The Witch, a New England folktale, and I think this is definitely a scary story in movie form. So if that isn't something that you're looking for, yeah, you might not love it as much as I do, but if you just want the creepy atmosphere and amazing production design and acting, this movie, it truly, I'm gonna say it again, it's perfect. And this is the part where all of you unsubscribe. At number 1, I have The Wicker Man, the early 70s mystery thriller that follows a policeman who heads to an island off the coast of Scotland to search for a missing girl. But there he finds a pagan cult who practice plenty of bizarre rituals. I don't want to say anything about this in case you have not heard of The Wicker Man or you don't know what happens. Do not look up anything about this movie. Please just watch it because it has the ultimate downer of the ending. I think it started the trend of having very unfortunate endings, I would say. But if you haven't seen it, you gotta see it for yourself. This movie is... well, it's something. I can see why a lot of people would not be into this movie, but again, it's another one that I think is perfect. 5 out of 5. If you liked Midsommar, then you need to see The Wicker Man in order to understand why Midsommar exists in the first place. But just watch it, and then you can hate it. Also, because I'm not done, I just want to throw out there, I was going to put Shudder on this list because I know a lot of people really like it. It's a Thai horror film that did make it into the J-horror remake craze here in the US, even though it's obviously not J-horror, it's Thai horror, but still, point is, I watched it, I didn't really care for it. Sorry, I know a lot of people do, but not for me, so maybe if you like those types of movies with, you know, the chicks with the black hair coming out and around and just being creepy, then maybe watch Shudder, otherwise skip it. But also, I was going to make this my number 1 pick, but I know a lot of people have already seen it, so I'm just going to throw it out there once again. Hush is a Netflix staple. It has been on there for a few years. Everyone loves Hush. This movie is really fun. Well, it's not really fun, but it's creepy and entertaining. So if you haven't watched it, or you haven't in a while, now would be the time for a rewatch. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, share it with all of your horror-loving friends. They've probably already seen all of these movies, but hey, these are 13+ recommendations that I think are a great way to kill some time on Netflix instead of scrolling around the entire night. So let me know what your favorites are in the comments below. Thank you again. I greatly appreciate it. That is it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.